Good afternoon, YouTube. I wanted to go over a thing on knives, especially survival knives, and where they seem to be going these days. Probably most knives being advertised for most places, most people, is this. You know, the typical tactical style folding knife. Great knife. Do whatever you need to do as far as simple tasks, but not really a survival knife. I mean, it's a good knife, don't get me wrong. It's not a survival knife. I've got a couple of these. You know, here's another one. And very good knife for what I use it for. And you can see by the blade, it's been used. I carry this quite often. It's not a survival knife. Now, the difference is most people get confused is between like a survival knife and a hunting knife. You'll notice most of my knives here in front of me, with the exception of the one folder, are fixed blades. And the reason for that is strength. You try to take a folding knife as far as a tactical situation, or excuse me, like a survival situation, you're going to break it, or it'll break, or it'll bend, or it'll something like that. That's like this knife here. I've had this knife now going on 15 years. Gutted a lot of deer, cleaned a lot of fish, a lot of small game, but you're never going to see me batoning wood with it. You're never going to see me doing like the hunting situation, like the outdoor situation requires for a survival knife. It's a good hunting knife. That's what it's designed for. Again, fixed blade knife here. This is a good skinning knife. Excellent skinning knife. Take the hide off a deer, another animal, stuff like that. It's not a survival knife. This one here belonged to a friend of mine. It's well over 50 years old. Great hunting knife. Very thin blade. Very sharp. Excellent for deer. Excellent for fish. It's not a survival knife. It's a patch knife. Made this one myself. From an antler, from a deer. Simple blade. Great patch knife. Great for just cutting like cloth, small things. Could even be used as a hunting knife. It's not a survival knife. This is an old Western States cutlery knife. This belonged to my grandfather. This is going back to before World War II. I do think this is from the 30s, if I recall. And great hunting knife. It's not a survival knife. It's kind of small for that. This is from the now defunct blind horse knives. They're now called battle horse knives. This is back when they were blind horse. And this is what they consider a patch knife, but I have done a lot with it as far as a hunting knife. I've got a couple deer with us, done a couple fish, some other small game. Great hunting knife, very sharp, very tough blade. This would be close. You could use this as a survival knife, as a smaller blade, because of how tough it is. This is a thick blade. It's very tough. Holds an edge very well. It's close. Still not quite because of its size. This, boys and girls, is a survival knife. This is an Ontario U.S. Air Force survival knife. This is what a survival knife should be. Heavy, very tough, very thick blade. You can beat this thing all day long, and you're not going to break it. You can baton wood with it. The saw blade on this was designed by the Air Force for if they had to cut the canopy, the plastic canopy, the heavy-duty ABS plastic, whatever. I'm not sure what they made of. And also for the aircraft aluminum. This is a very tough knife. This goes along with the K-bars and all the other military survival knives. This is a survival knife. Plain and simple. You're not going to get any better. You need to know the difference. You know, these little folding knives here, these are great carry knives for an everyday in your pants pocket, stuff like that, for when you need them once in a while. It's not a survival knife. It's not a hunting knife. Could you get a deer with this? Absolutely. It might be a little big for fish, but could you get a deer with it? Absolutely. Perfect size. But you don't want to have too small of a knife. You don't want to have too big of a knife. But notice the style. You want a tough, fixed blade knife. Don't get a folding knife. I mean, are you ever going to see me get rid of this knife? No, never. I'll have this knife for the rest of my life probably. But it has its limitations. You have to know what they are. If you get a knife, just like a gun, just like any rifle, just like a caliber, stuff like that, Same with a knife. You have to know the limitations of what you have. This is a great hunting knife if you're going to be using it just for cutting deer, small game, cutting a piece of rope once in a while. Perfect. Great work for it. But it's not going to hold up all day long, batoning, cutting wood. It's not meant for that. Knives like that right there in front of you, that Ontario U.S. Air Force survival knife, and most knives like that, the K-bars, they're what you want for a survival knife. So what you need to do is you know the difference, and that's on you to go out and look. Don't be fooled by catalogs, and don't be fooled by advertisements. You know, but you also don't have to pay top dollar either. You don't have to pay $200-300 for a survival knife. You get that U.S. Air Force survival knife there is under $50. You can get them all day long for that price. They're out there. You don't need to spend big bucks, but you need to know what you have, and you need to know what you're supposed to have, and get something you know is going to work. So until the next time, have a good day, users and viewers, and pick yourself up a good knife while you still can. I see that the prices of some stuff is going up. I see a little more panic these days, but get ahead of it. Get your gear now while you can for what you can get it for.